Hello everyone. In this tutorial we will be looking at the Advanced tab in the Object Properties. There's a lot of fun things we can do with that. So let's just start off by making an object for us to look and see what is in that. So Object Properties, and over here we know how to change the color, the style, algebra, but then there's this Advanced tab. And so there's two important things that are under this tab: the condition to show object, and then the dynamic colors I like a lot too, just to really snazz up your GeoGebra file. Just quick, the layer thing, you can set objects to be under a certain layer, and that's just it creates whether or not they, or I guess how they overlap. The highest layer, so the layer that's farthest forward, is 0, and then as you go down they layer deeper that way. So this is pretty self-explanatory. You can play around with that. By default, everything's just set to layer 0. So the first thing that we should look at is the condition to show object input bar here. So the most basic thing that we can do with this is use checkboxes to show and hide objects. So if I just click and make a checkbox, we can just name it something. While this window's open, we can click on objects and it automatically adds it to here. So if I just click on A, for example, this checkbox is going to toggle whether A shows up or not. And so what GeoGebra is doing here is they're just kind of creating a quick way of going to Object Properties and then going to the Advanced tab, and then inputting into the condition to show object, they're just putting that Boolean variable A, which is either true or false, into this for us. And so, I mean, if we deleted this, then it's not going to toggle it anymore. So let's create some more things. Let's just create a polygon, and let's just create another polygon within that one. Alright, so now let's say that I want all of this stuff to be dependent on this checkbox. So what I can do is, let's just go grab polygon 1 for now and go under Advanced and then Condition to Show Object. I want Boolean variable A. Hit enter and then X out of that, and it's going to hide the actual polygon, which is the inner part. But I want it to hide the sides and all the points as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab everything. I'm going to hold Shift and click, grab all of them. Object Properties, and then Condition to Show Object. We'll set that at A. And so now it makes the whole thing disappear or reappear. And so what's nice about this is that when you start creating really advanced GeoGebra files, you're going to have a whole lot of stuff maybe showing up, and you don't want everything to be there all at once. Otherwise things will get confusing and cluttered. So it's always nice to be able to hide things that you don't want to look at right then. You can also kind of create nested checkboxes, and we can do that. Let's make another checkbox. And I'm not going to worry about adding anything to it right now. But let's say that I want this checkbox to show up when this one is checked. So I can go to the properties for this one and set the condition to A. And so now this checkbox is going to toggle this one in addition to those triangles. And so now let's make something for, well, let's just look at this polygon, polygon 2. Let's say that polygon 2 only shows up if both checkboxes are checked. So I'm going to go to polygon 2, and I'm going to say that A, and then the way we do and is a double ampersand. Oops. 2 ampersands means and. So I want A to be checked and our other one is G to be checked. I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to change the character there for us. So that means that for the middle triangle to show up, both checkboxes have to be checked. And so the reason that that's helpful is because if I have this one checked, you know, maybe I just made this triangle dependent on this checkbox. If I just had this one checked, it would show up, and then if I uncheck this one, it would still be there. If it only depend on this checkbox, but since it depends on both, just this checkbox will delete or disappear all of them. And so we can kind of create nested checkboxes that way. We can also look at the next part is the dynamic colors, and this is really interesting. It really, you know, helps with the aesthetics of your GeoGebra file. It's kind of boring if everything's all brown and gray and white. So what you can do to create the colors is input a number between 0 and 1, and essentially it's the percent of each color that's going to make it up. So if we want to create black, we can do 0, 0, 0, and that's going to be black. There's 0% red, green, and blue. We can also change the opacity if we want. If we want to do white, we can do 1, 1, 1. And that you can see the background is white. So you can change it that way, or you can just select the color this way. But the reason that you'd want to use this is because we can actually put variables in here. So we'll just leave those there for now, and I'm actually going to go and create a slider. And we're going to have a slider go from 1 to 3, and it's going to count by ones. And we'll make it vertical. Alright, so we have our slider here. And it goes 1, 2, or 3. And now I'm going to go back into the object properties for the first polygon. And I'm going to change the opacity. Actually, we'll just leave that for now. But I'm going to create some if statements. I'm going to say if our slider H, and then a double equal sign is the way it checks to see if it's equal to. If H is equal to 1, we want the value of the red to be equal to 1, otherwise it's going to be 0. And then I'm actually just going to copy this whole thing. I'm going to select it all and Control C for copy. And then I'm going to paste that in there for the green one. But now I want it to check if H is equal to 2. And then hit enter. And then for blue, we're going to look at whether it's equal to 3, and then hit enter. And so now this slider is going to control the color of the polygon. So 1 is red, 2 is green, and 3 is blue, which is really cool. And if you notice, there's that opacity one too. So I'm going to make another slider, and I'm going to have it go from 0 to 100 for a percent. Actually, from 0 to 100, that'll be fine. And we'll just have it count by ones. And this one's going to be called I, so we'll have to remember that. And so now, let's go back into the object properties for polygon 1. And then the opacity, again, it goes between 0 and 100%. So now instead of an actual number, I'm going to do I divided by 100. Because I want it to go from 0 to 1. And then just hit enter. And so now this slider is going to be able to change the opacity of the polygon in addition to the color of it. And we could get more advanced with the color. Maybe we want a whole bunch of colors. We could add more quantities to this slider and then just get a little bit more clever and advanced with our if statements to, you know, maybe create 5 or even 10 colors. But the advanced tab is just really helpful for, you know, really making your GeoGebra file look polished and just very pleasing to look at. So just keep these in mind the next time you create a GeoGebra file. Thanks for watching.